It's Lynn Samuels, ladies and gentlemen. And Lynn has never been known to keep her thoughts to herself, and I don't expect her to be any different here visiting us at WOR. But when I heard about your dismissal over there at that other radio station, I invited you to come over, and you said that you couldn't do that immediately, but you are free to speak, and you certainly can take advantage of that freedom. And I know that microphones do not intimidate you.
No, they don't. I'm not nervous. It's so nice to see you. I haven't seen you since that day of infamy last April, right?
With one exception. We did a Rolanda show together.
Oh, that's right. We did do that Rolanda. Oh, that better we forget the Rolanda.
Yeah, all right. Well, Lynn, a great deal has happened since 13 months ago, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as you're concerned, you were quoted in the paper today. You talked to David Hinckley, and I know you have the same high regard for David as I do. He's a fair guy.
Yes, he is.
Good reporter, and he covers the radio beat for the Daily News. And you had some things to say which indicate that you were not pleased with the direction of your former radio station.
No, I'm not. Well, who is? First of all, look at the ratings. You see, nobody listens to them because there's nothing much to listen to except jingles and promos. If you like jingles and promos, that's your place. If you like talk radio, you're obviously listening to WOR. Because there's no talk at that other place anymore. There are jingles and promos and interruptions and, you know, people saying, well, if you do a 12-minute monologue, the audience just can't follow that for that long.
You don't see any validity in that comment. You don't think that 12 minutes is too long?
Oh, please. Now, you used to do it, too. If you could push that first break, you could sometimes stretch it out to 15 or 16 minutes.
Well, that's true, because when you are talking about something that you feel very emotional about, very concerned about, you get wrapped up in it. But, I mean, trying to sit back and be objective, you think that there's any validity to that?
That people can't follow it? No. Of course people can follow it. What would all those, talk shows, those Sunday morning shows on television, where would they be if people couldn't follow it? It's just, to me, contempt for the listener. It's like saying our listeners are so incredibly stupid that if you talk for longer than 4 minutes, they're not going to know what you're talking about.
Lynn, people must have asked you from time to time how you got in this business. Tell us a little something about how you got into this business.
Oh, well, it was so weird. I was going out with a guy who broke up with me in the mid-'70s. And as he was leaving, as he was waving goodbye, he said, listen to WBAI, which is that listener-sponsored, really left-wing station. And I did, and they raise money there like they do on Channel 13. So since I didn't have a boyfriend anymore, I had nothing to do. So I went there to answer the telephones, when they were doing fundraising.
Uh-huh.
And I never left. And I didn't want to be on the air. I was very intimidated. I thought those people at that station were so brilliant, and I was just nothing. And if you hung around there long enough, you ended up on the air because, it was the mid-'70s, so somebody would OD or they'd get drunk or, something would happen. And I swear, and they'd have nobody to go on the radio. So one day something happened and they said, go on the radio. And I said, oh my goodness, I'm, like 30-something years old. And I never realized this is what I want to be when I grow up.
And, you were not intimidated by the microphone back then?
Not at all. And you had to do your own engineering, and I didn't really know how, but I didn't want anyone to do it for me, so I lied, and I said I knew how to do that.
I recall when some listeners, some callers, would telephone you if they were irate, if they wanted to put you down, they'd say, go back to the laundromat. What was all that about?
Well, now, when did I work at the laundromat? I know, I worked at various times at a laundromat in my neighborhood. After I was at BAI for a while, I used to sit on the air there saying, won't somebody hire me and pay me for this? And the first person who responded to that was a guy named Walter Sabo, who used to work for WOR when it was owned by somebody else.
Walter Sabo, let me add, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the most respected consultants in the radio business. Yeah, go ahead.
And he heard my show in a cab, and he made them take him back home, and he recorded it, and he ran up here to WOR 10 years ago. It was 10 years ago this summer. And I did Saturday and Sunday, or maybe just Sunday. But I worked at WOR for a whole summer.
Really?
And then they hired an auto mechanic instead of me.
Ah.
Because it was easier to sell ads or something. And then not that long after that, I ended up at that other place that we won't even mention what they are. And then they fired me from there once before. And I went back to the laundromat, actually. I went back to working at the laundromat. And then they fired the people who fired me. And I went back, which is pretty much what I'm hoping for this time.
Okay, so it's been how long now since you have not had a regular radio show?
February the 18th.
And in that time, I understand you've taken some sojourns to other cities and did some fill-in work up in Boston.
I was up in Boston.
How'd you like that?
I loved it. Oh, it was so nice. They were nice to me.
Uh-huh.
No, I liked the radio station because, believe me, the day you left that other place, you should only thank God you left when you did. Because it just got... Oh, they're nasty. They're inconsiderate. They call up and yell at you while you're on the air during your breaks. It is such a poisonous atmosphere. And I went up to Boston, and they're nice to you. They're nice to everybody. Everybody who worked there was happy. And I filled in for Marjorie Clapperud with a guy named Pat Whitley, who's been in the business forever.
Yeah, we all know Pat. Yeah, that's right.
And I thought, it's going to be one of these, I'm the liberal, he's the conservative, we're going to be fighting, he's going to be like some nutcase. And he's not. He's like the nicest guy in the world. I had a wonderful time.
All right.
And I made a little commotion.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you're going to get mad at me. I don't want to get in a hell. We had Fred and Kim Goldman were there in the studio. They were on their book tour. And to me, there's a point when people are selling a book, is the point where you say, I don't feel sorry for you anymore. You know, your son was murdered. We feel sorry for you. But what are you doing now? Now you're trying to make a living. You know, you're trying to make money. Now you're just selling something. And I told them that to their faces and suggested that they were both in need of a great deal of therapy and that they should maybe get out of the public eye and take care of their own mental condition. So I ended up on 2 TV stations and in one of the papers up there, and it was a whole big thing.
Lynn, you have never been one, and I can understand that, and identify to a great extent with that, to calculate what you're going to say in advance and say, well, this wouldn't be popular, this wouldn't be politically advantageous to me, this would not further my career, this might damage my reputation. You don't think about those things. You say what you feel, and are you prepared to suffer the consequences after you say them? That's the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
In that instance, I did ask permission, because I was only a fill-in host. So I did actually say, can I tell them off? And I was told, go right ahead.
Well, what I don't mean seeking permission to tell them off. I don't mean that. I mean knowing that what you were going to say was not going to be popular. That did not deter you. That's the point I'm trying to make here.
No, it didn't, because I am, I just am sick of listening to them now that all they're doing is selling merchandise.
All right.
So
Okay, the stage is set, Lynn. The stage is set. I can tell you that the lines are full. They've been full from the moment you walked in. And we're here on WOR 710 on your radio dial. And straight ahead, Eileen from Forest Hills. Go right ahead, Eileen.
Hi, this is wonderful. My two favorite,
thank you.
all-time favorite talk show hosts together in the same place.
Wow.
I wanted to say that I think that these stations, particularly that other station that is such a joke, need to have on a mixed bag of political issues and agendas. And people need the freedom, the talk show hosts need the freedom to present things in the way they are most believing in. And I think that is being totally done away with in a lot of cases, and this constant jingles and commercials really...
Well, you need the commercials. Nobody objects to commercials.
But there's too many of them.
But there can never be too many commercials. But at that other place, what they've done is it's jingles and promos, and, you're trying to have a conversation.
It's a joke. I mean, the whole thing is a joke. The only little tiny criticism that I have is of both of you is that you have something in common that you will talk about, like in your case, Giuliani, and in Bob's case, Clinton, a person that you don't agree with so much that it becomes boring.
Well, I
know you need to do that.
No, I am willing to admit that I tried until, when Giuliani started running, but I tried not to talk about him too much because I realized that I am irrational on the subject of Giuliani. I really am. I'm totally irrational.
Well, the thing is, it's informative at first. I mean, I didn't vote for Clinton. I sort of like Giuliani, and I'm a moderate. I mean, I'm like one of these love me, love me, love me. I'm a liberal type.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm sort of moderate, and I enjoy everybody's point of view. But after a while, I mean, geez, get off it, But other than that, you are just the two most inspiring people to ever hit the airwaves. And I hope that, Lynn, you come back to New York. And Bob, I wish you the very best. I love your show, and I think you're both fantastic.
Well, thank you very much, Eileen. Wow. Now,
it's too bad we couldn't have made her the last call of the hour.
Well, this is, you see, Eileen might surprise some people because she said she likes us both, and yet we're at total opposite ends of the political spectrum. Here's Janet checking in now from Manhattan. Yes, Janet.
Hi, Mr. Grant. My
WOR.
Yes, of course.
WOR.
My heartfelt thanks to you for giving Lynn Junkies their fix. Lynn, I miss you so much.
Thank you.
I want you to know I have never read the Daily News, and I came up on it once, and I noticed they have a radio section, and since you've been fired, I have brought the paper every day just to give you the radio section to see your name, and that's how I found about you being on WOR
That's great.
today.
Have you noticed, by the way, I've been dying to say this, how much better the Daily News is since Pete Hamill became the editor?
Do you know something, Lynn? We subscribe to the New York Times, so we get that in the morning, and I just go out and just get the paper just to look at the radio section to see. That's how I found out that you were in Boston. That's how I found out about you today. I just love your quirkiness. I adore you, Lynn, and I miss your voice on radio. And Mr. Grant, again, thank you so much for being generous.
Well, all right, Janet, thank you. Here's Belle from Manhattan. You're on WOR, and Lynn is here.
Hi, Belle.
Hi, Lynn. Since you split from that overgrown, white-gloved rodent, you don't know how I've missed you. You're the only one who would know that the only important news story this week is that the entire bee population has been depleted. The farmers have been trying to artificially pollinate their fruit trees. That's the way I'm looking at it is first the frogs, then
now
the bees, and next it's us.
And Bob Dylan in the hospital.
That's right. Yesterday, Mr. Grant said, I don't understand why that's the lead story. Mr. Grant, I'll explain to you why. It seems that Mr. Dylan wrote our anthem, Blowing in the Wind. And that's what we sang when we went down south, when those Southern bigots were really clubbing us to death. And everything that he's our American poet, when he said, "You don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows, man," it became part of the culture.
I thought that fellow Jerry from the Grateful Dead was the icon. Remember when he died?
No, not of everybody. Not of the political people.
Oh, I see.
The political people, it's Bob Dylan, and still is Bob Dylan.
Oh, he had. There were lines that he had when he said,
"Something is happening, and you don't know what it is.
Do you, Mr. Grant? The pump don't work because the vandal took the handle," and you knew he was not talking about the water pressure.
Oh, yes, he was. Do you know where that pump was?
Where was
there
the
was
pump?
a real pump. It was up at Bard College. It was a real pump. He hung out there. Apparently, when I was there, although there were so many scruffy guys with guitars on the lawn that I don't even remember. I probably ran into them.
Well,
but it was a real pump.
You and Belle are definitely kindred souls. That's for sure. I can see that. Okay. Michael, or rather, Akeem. All right. Akeem from the Bronx, who sometimes checks in as Shem.
Well, number one, let me correct you. I don't check in as Shem. Now, if there is another individual that sounds similar to me, so well be it.
Well,
But
I just want you to know that maybe you think you can fool me, but you can't fool Margot Jordan. And she's got you pegged, Akeem.
Well, I beg to differ. But let me go on, because you're probably going to allow me such a short period of time, because you are a hypocrite and you don't allow me enough time, or the same amount of time like Sid or Vintage Frank.
Well, wait a minute, hold it. Miss Jordan, did this individual call already this week? Did he?
No.
Oh, he called as Shem, so
No.
therefore
no,
he's...
No.
You didn't call this week?
No, I did not. Am I going to get my chance to speak?
I'm going to let this pass, but we're going to pour over tapes tonight, and we're going to see whether I think you're lying. As a matter of fact, you know what? I have to be honest. You're lying. Get off my phone. Now, I hated to do that, Lynn, because I think it would have been somewhat entertaining to chat with this gentleman. However...
I know, but I love when you say, "Get off my phone."
However, he did call earlier this week, and if I let this pass, then everybody else could say, "Wait a minute, you let him break the rule. What about me?" So I had to...
You're so authoritarian.
Well, you know, if you have a rule, you have to follow it.
That's true.
And
I never had rules.
You never had the once-a-week rule?
No, they were actually, one of the things that they were doing was forcing people to have a once-a-month rule.
A once-a-month rule?
Yes. Oh, no, that was for weekend shows. It was once a week and then once a month. It got very, very weird there. There were memos constantly, you know. They hate regular callers. They hate long phone calls. They hate anything that was fun or real radio.
What reminded you of that is that
George the Atheist, I think.
You think it was George the Atheist?
Well, it's that the last word is atheist, so I'm only assuming the first word that we can't quite read is George.
But it says, "I know who the hostess is, Bob. It's the bag lady." Among other sobriquets, I called you the bag lady.
Yes. I'll leave it to you to say the other one.
I don't know. Do we say douchebag over here? I don't know. No.
We just didn't we?
Okay.
I got to miss that after a while.
Well, Joanne from Staten Island, you're on the Bob Grant Show on WOR, and Lynn is here.
Hi, Bob. Lynn, it's so good to hear your voice once again. I want to say something about that insignificant station, that other place. I confess that there are times that I continue to listen to it, not for any reason, but just to see how it is turning and turning and turning.
Yeah, it's like watching an accident.
Well, it is incredible. And before, when you said something about the fact that they think that their audience is stupid, I believe that. The one thing that I did want to mention was the other day they buried Officer Sanchez. Terrible, terrible thing that happened to him. It was very sad. On that day, that station had a moment of silence at 10 o'clock, I guess, during the church ceremony. I don't know when it was, but it was at 10 o'clock. Prior to that, they were running these blurbs about the fact that Mrs. Sanchez would miss her son and her husband, and their son wouldn't be able to go fishing with their father. Well, this made me physically sick.
No, everything they do there now is fake. You know, we everything used to sort of come from the heart, and now it's just all fake.
It is certainly fake, and there is someone orchestrating everything they say.
Yes, and I can tell you the name of the person orchestrating.
Who is that?
The Vice President of Programming, John McConnell, is the one who put in the promos and the jingles, and it has destroyed the radio station. One man has destroyed that radio station.
Well, that one thing, if anybody listens to that station now after hearing what went on that day with those blurbs, I am totally surprised, because it was disgraceful.
It's just insincere, and they pander to what they think people want without any understanding of sincerity or real feeling or real knowledge of anything. It's horrendous.
All right, Joanne.
That's why everybody listens to WOR, you know.
All right, Joanne, thank you for the call. And here's Joan from New Jersey. I tell you, a lot of ladies calling the program on this day more than usual, and I guess it's because Lynn is here. Joan, go ahead.
Hi, Bob and Lynn. How excellent to have you back on the air. We miss you.
Thank you.
And, Bob, you probably know me better as persona non grata from Scotch Plains. But I've been...
I know you.
Do you call sometime using the name Andrea?
Oh, please, Bob. A to Z. I've used every name, every accent. So many times you don't know who I am, but I'm there. I'm out there. But you're the person I love to hate. I listen to you every day. And Lynn, I feel the same way about you. I didn't always agree with everything you said, but you were entertaining, you laugh out loud, just like with Bob. I'm driving home sometimes, and I will absolutely laugh out loud at him. And as far as that...
When he's being serious, probably, in your case.
No, she used a phrase that really is more truth than just a cliche. She said, love to hate. There are people, and I'm sure she's sincere in what she said, but there are people who have this relationship with people in the media like you and like me, especially those of us who are, quote, controversial. And that's been happening throughout my career. Now,
I had that relationship with you for all those years before I ever met you.
You were Joan, do you know that Lynn...
Yes.
Lynn used to be a caller when I was on WMCA.
And every call ended the same way.
Oh, I
Get off my phone!
I always try to say what I have to say within like 10 seconds, because after that it's all downhill. But I do appreciate your show, Bob, and the fact that you've had Lynn on just puts you a notch higher. And
Well,
I hope I hear her again on this.
You have to...
Me too.
A guy told me a long time ago, the person who convinced me to do this kind of radio, he said, just remember one thing. The sure road to failure is to try to please everybody. He said it's impossible. Nobody has success. So if I try to please everybody, I know I'm a goner. Knowing that, I didn't flinch when I got negative reaction when I announced that Lynn was going to be on. But why? Somebody said, but why? But why?
No, why?
Why? No, but you know what the key is why people like you? Because it's what I said before, it's sincerity. If you mean what you're saying, even if people disagree, even if they think you have awful opinions, there's something appealing about the very sincerity of what you're saying.
That's true. And sometimes I'm driving home and I say, I have to hurry up and get home so I can call. I mean, sometimes
and think of what name to use and everything.
It takes, oh, yeah, I've got an accent. I've got them all. Bob.
Joan, I'll tell you what you do. I'm broadcasting live and direct from the Rio Diner on the 10th of June. It's a Tuesday. And it'll be my first WOR broadcast from the Rio Diner. If you can... Come on over.
I might just do that.
And do all the names and all the accents right in person.
That's
all
right.
At once.
Well, listen, you all have a great time now, because I got to run.
Thank you very much, John.
Bye.
All right, let's do we take a time out here? No, we don't take a time out. Okay, how about Michael from Manhattan? You're on WOR.
Oh, Bob, it's great to talk to you. You're a real mensch for having Lynn on today, I got to tell you.
Thank you.
Lynn,
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
I miss you at that other station that I'm not allowed to mention their call letters. And I
There's no point.
I know. Listen, I just wanted to tell you that Michael Harris...
Oh, was that Scott Pellegrino?
That was Scott Pellegrino.
Is that Scott Pellegrino?
It was it.
Okay.
All right, let's say hello to Pat from New Jersey.
Hi, Bob.
Yes, go
Hi.
ahead.
I just wanted to say it's great to hear Lynn's voice on there.
Thank you. I'm here.
I came back from being away all winter, couldn't find you. And, of course, I like both of you, but I really missed you, Lynn. I get mad at you an awful lot, but I do miss hearing you.
Thank you very much.
And good luck to you, and I hope we get you back in our area soon.
I hope so, too.
All right, here we are on WOR. You know, this lady was just on. She said, you get me mad a lot, but I miss you. Now, how do you interpret that? What do you make of that?
That she doesn't agree with all my opinions. But again, it's the love to hate thing. That she doesn't agree with my opinion. Nobody can agree with somebody all the time.
She didn't say...
I get her mad because I say things she disagrees with.
Yeah, I mean, how does that...
she probably thinks is stupid or offensive.
Oh.
But she listens.
Have you ever questioned the fact that the public takes all of us, not just you, not just me, but all of us, so seriously?
Oh, well, that's just the media. I mean, once you're amplified in any way, television, radio, you're amplified. You sound bigger. Your opinions appear bigger. But, of course, being a woman, and women are not taken seriously that often, I don't mind being taken seriously.
You don't mind being taken?
No.
I don't mind either, and I'll tell you why I don't mind, because, as you said earlier, I'm giving my honest opinions, and people are getting a fair shake. So I don't mind, but every now and then I do say, what the heck? Why do they take me so seriously?
Because you're amplified on the radio. It's really true. I mean, I listen to people on television, and that's even worse. Then you really think there's somebody, and you sort of stop yourself sometimes and say, why do I care, what some goon like Dick Morris, who's been on television all week, know, because why would anybody care what that trivial, insignificant little worm
Let me tell you my Dick Morris story. I love this.
Keep your shoes on.
I had gone to Washington, D.C., February 28th. Radio and Records had their annual get-together,
right,
and they wanted me to participate in a seminar. It was entitled Talk Show Hosts Under Fire. And there was a fellow from Mike Siegel. There was Mike Siegel, Jeff Katz, and myself. And Dick Morris came up to me. He introduced himself, which he didn't have to do. I knew, of course, who he was. And he gave me his card, and he asked me if I thought he could make it as a talk show host. And I said, I don't know, Dick. I don't know. Why not? I said, why not? He gave me his card and said he'd like to talk to me sometime. Now, he doesn't want to talk to me about the state of the world. He'd like to talk to me about helping him get a talk show. And, that surprised me, that a guy that has achieved the status that he's achieved, and I don't say this to laud him, I say it because it's a fact. What status can be bigger than advising a president how to conduct his campaign, and yet he wants to be a talk show host?
Because he probably figures there's money in it, and there's power, and what he basically is a manipulator. So he probably just thinks, get on the radio and look at all the hundreds of thousands of people I can manipulate. He makes me sick to my stomach. He really does.
All right, we're going to swing over to A real hunk. We got a real handsome hunk over there in the WOR.
Well, bring him over here for me.
And his name, Lynn, is Clark Logan.
All right. Hey, I'm always willing to make an appearance in the studio for you guys.
Get back to our busy telephones here on the Bob Grant Show on WOR. And Conrad from Elmhurst. Yes, Conrad. Are you there?
Conrad. Bubala.
All right. Who do we have there? Okay, let's try Deanna. Deanna, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, Deanna, hi. How are you?
It sounds so good. I heard Belle. It's wonderful.
It's like the old girl's coffee clutch here.
And my heart is pounding like the first time I ever called you.
And Bob's the one drinking the coffee.
And Bob, you're wonderful for putting her on. Thank you. And could you believe Ken Starr this week? I says, oh, good. Lynn's going to be on. Not Ken Starr, Paula Jones.
Oh, please.
Please. America just went down a peg with that call. I could not believe a unanimous decision. The Supreme Court.
Oh, no wonder you're a Lynn Samuels.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, we agree. We're like the same person, me and
No. I disagreed with NAFTA and you.
Well, that's true, yes.
There were a couple of our issues.
How do you stand on NAFTA, Lynn?
Absolutely 100% against it.
Against it?
It's one thing I agree with Pat Buchanan about.
Well, if you take, really, if you take each issue and honestly come to an opinion on each issue, you may find that along the line you will agree with someone that you never dreamed you'd agree with.
That's
and
right.
Here you're saying, I never would think that you and Pat Buchanan would be on the same side, but on that particular issue you are.
Yes. Well, it's like I love when people call you up sometimes and find out you're pro-choice. That has surprised people for years.
I know. I don't know when they're going to stop being surprised.
Well, you keep getting new listeners. So
that's
they'll
good.
never stop being surprised.
Okay, that's good. I don't want them to stop being surprised. Let's try Yehudit from Brooklyn.
Oh, Yehudit, hi.
You wouldn't believe how many times I dialed trying to get through. It's impossible
You
almost.
need to get automatic redial.
I do.
Oh.
Believe me, even with that. Bob, you are wonderful for having Lynn on. Lynn, you are wonderful for coming on. Could you please tell me an address where I can write to you, Lynn?
Yeah, post office box.
Yeah.
Can I do this? Am I allowed to do this? 20048.
20048.
West Village Station.
West Village Station.
New York, New York. This is exciting radio, isn't it?
Yeah.
10014.
10014. I knew you would feel that way about the Paula Jones case, and I disagree. I agree with Bob on almost every issue, but I miss you terribly because your perspective is missed, and I know you would have talked about the bees and about Bob Dylan, and you're just a great person. We miss you so much, but that other station has gone downhill, and it's good that you got out when you did, but I hope you have an agent because you're such a wonderful person with that voice of yours. You've got to do things with that voice of yours. You can make mega bucks doing cartoons or reading stories.
Okay, well, tell that. I do have a voiceover agent.
Oh, good.
Commercial. Does nothing for me. Nothing.
Well, Bob has been
useless.
Bob has been doing wonderful voiceovers ever since he's been on the radio. All those commercials you do or whatever the commercial spots they make you do, you're great. You know, Bob, sometimes if I miss your show and I hear just one commercial of yours, I feel, okay, at least I heard your voice.
Really?
Yeah. I miss your voices because it's your opinions, it's everything you have to say, it's the back and forth with all the callers of every kind, the good ones and the other kind, but just to hear your voices is really very good because here and there I do not get to listen to the radio. I try the best I can, but I didn't call yesterday. When I heard Lynn was going to be on, I had to save my weekly call for now.
Oh, thank you.
And the two of you have made me sort of famous in my little circle of friends.
Really?
Yeah. Even people who don't like me,
it rubs off. It rubs off.
They say, oh, I heard you on the radio, and they could be talking about a call I made weeks ago. So thank you, both of you, for being you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
All right, dear.
Thank you.
Yehudit is of course her name, but you might be too young to remember one of the old radio shows. They had a character Yehudi, and I forget, maybe we have some
What show?
old-timer out there in the audience can recall what program the guy said, Who's Yehudi? Oh, every week. It was like...
I must know.
Eddie
That's all
Cantor,
I did when I
one of
was a
them.
kid, was listen to the radio.
Anyway, sorry
I
did
remember
that.
Yehudi Menuhin.
Of course. John from Manhattan. Hello, John.
Hey, good evening. How you doing, Lynn?
Hi, John.
Nice to hear your voice.
Thank you.
You got me through a lot of bad days because, I'm
Well.
All right, let's say hello to Todd from New Jersey. Hello, Todd.
Boy, the only way to follow that act is with a shovel and a garbage can.
And you're the man to do it, Eddie.
I could just about say what Yehudit said and hang up on you, but since it is kind of an old home week, I first discovered Bob Grant when Alan Combs went off the air, and that became a sports station down the dial. And I listened to Bob Grant, and I was saved. I had someone new to listen to, and the dial never moved. I think back then, Lynn, you were doing the 11 o'clock in the morning spot, and no one ever enraged me as much as you did, but I couldn't turn you off. And
that's the point.
It was always great to get the other side of, I knew what Bob was going to say, and I knew I was going to agree with him most of the time. But when I wanted the other point of view, I just listened to Lynn Samuels, and you'd get a healthy dose of it. And I thank you for that. And thanks a lot, Bob, for having her on. And I'd just like to say that, the chorus of voices in New York is much better served with you along with him, Lynn. So I hope to hear you again on the air.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right, there's a real gentleman, Todd. Certainly is a real gentleman. And I say that because of the way he presents himself. I have a few more questions. So, Lynn, here you have been, as they say in the business, on the beach. And someone had asked you about an agent, which leads me to wonder, do you have any plans in the works? Do you have anything going for you?
Someday I'm probably going to get some fill-ins around, over the summer. Somebody did that. I have this agent who's not for radio. He's for voiceovers and stuff. But he's not very good, I must say.
Well,
so I won't mention his name. I won't say a thing.
Margot had suggested maybe you could do a voiceover on the Beavis and Butthead show. I mean, I've never watched that.
I've never watched it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. See, now you thought that I did. You probably thought I just watched Beavis and Butthead all the time.
Now, you surprised some people one time on your program, which you used to do on a Saturday morning, and you said that outside of maybe going around doing occasional shopping, you didn't have any nightlife. You didn't that you were a homebody. And,
yeah, I am.
Oh.
I am, but that's because I worked in a nightclub for like 4 years, and I think I got all the nightlife out of my system in the time I was working in that nightclub. I go out. I go to movies and stuff, but I don't gallivant. You have to watch C-SPAN.
You do like to watch C-SPAN?
I love C-SPAN. I can sit there and who did I see Saturday night? David Halberstam, talking about how the culture is falling apart. I can just sit there and be entranced. I wonder about myself sometimes.
In what way, Lynn? Because you are...
Because I sit there and say C-SPAN is, when you think about it, the most boring thing you could put on television. It's either people making speeches or those goons in the House of Representatives and the Senate, who are enough to undermine your belief in democracy, watching them. And yet I can sit there entranced.
All right, let's take another call. Bob from Long Island with Lynn here on WOR. Yes, Bob.
Hi, Bob. I think you can lend a little something to this. Once I had called Lynn. This was during the first election when Bush was running against Clinton, and she said that, he may have been a draft dodger, but what about George Bush? He joined the reserves to stay out. I tried to explain to her, but she cut me off. And the explanation, Lynn, and I think you'll back me up, Bob, because I think you were the same thing. I think you were in the reserves during the Korean War, if I'm not mistaken. And what they did when you enlisted, there wasn't enough room for you. You had to wait until we went into aviation cadets. I did, and Bush did. And we had to wait until the pilots the instructors there, the fields were there, and the airplanes were there. And I felt very bad that she lambasted one of our finest presidents compared to what we have today.
To whom are you referring? George Bush is one of our finest presidents?
I'm referring to George Bush, and you never gave me the opportunity to finish, and you cut me off. And after I got off, by the way,
remember this for 5 years?
Now, Bob.
Bob,
here
I'm a veteran of 3 wars and 28 years service, and I never forgave her for that. She called me obnoxious.
Some memory.
And I want to tell you something, Lynn. You're obnoxious. Thank you, Bill. Bob.
All right. Okay.
Or whoever you are.
What
a memory he has.
Here's Hal from North Bergen. I think we have time for one more call here on WOR. Yes.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Gosh, this is like hearing 2 old friends. And it's such a pleasure to hear both of you. Bob, what a class act to bring Lynn on the air. Lynn, I look forward to hearing you on radio sometime here in the near future. And what was always nice, you guys pegged it before, regardless of the beliefs, they were sincerely and deeply held, and that's what makes both of you terrific. I agree more often than not with Bob, but I respect your point of view, even though you're wrong, Lynn.
Well, that's your opinion.
But you're terrific, and I hope you're back on the air.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's squeeze in. Let's squeeze in Brentwood Marty. Let's try Brentwood Marty. Are you there, Brent? Oh, that's okay. All right. I guess we've just been grabbed by the clock as far as phone calls
so much,
are concerned. So, Lynn, the feeling, it all comes back to you just sitting there as soon as you come in the studio.
Yes. You want to take the day off tomorrow?
I watched you. No, it's a funny thing. It isn't just Lynn. It isn't just me. When you've been in this business and you walk into a studio after you have something happens.
Oh, it's like coming home.
And
it really is.
There's really nothing like a radio studio because you're sitting here virtually alone, and yet you're not alone. And hopefully you're not alone. Hopefully there's hundreds of thousands, millions of, who knows, people listening. And I hope you appreciated Lynn's visit, folks, and enjoyed it. I did.
I did. Thank you.
And that slams the lid on Things for Today. Until tomorrow, this is Bob Grant reminding you, your influence counts. Use it straight ahead.